everybody, welcome back to another video, and in today's video we are going to be doing another update of Baltimore Thurgood International Airport. So this is my newly renovated Baltimore. I say renovated, I essentially tore down the old Baltimore and built a new one from scratch, so it's basically just a new Baltimore. Before we start, we have a little bit of good news for Baltimore. We are gaining an airline we previously lost. Air Canada Express are due to relaunch service at Baltimore starting May 1st of next year, so 2025. Of course, that's to Toronto Pearson, which is really exciting. Of course, they dropped service last year, but now they are relaunching service next year. So yeah, it's a pretty interesting move from Air Canada, but it's pretty cool to see them come back. But with that being said, we're going to be starting off where we usually do, over here on the runway. So just turning onto the runway now, we have this Southwest Airlines Boeing 737-700 in the Florida 1 color scheme. This aircraft is just about to take off out to Albany in New York. Just holding short, we have this Play Airbus A320neo. This aircraft is going to be heading out to Keflavik in Iceland. And then just here taxiing towards the runway, we have this Southwest Airlines Boeing 737-800. This aircraft is going to be heading out to Myrtle Beach in South Carolina. Starting off here at the gate with Delta, here we have this Delta Boeing 737-900. This aircraft is going to be heading out to Minneapolis in Minnesota. We then have this Delta connection Embraer E170. This aircraft is going to be heading out to Boston in Massachusetts. We then have this American Boeing 737-800. This aircraft is going to be heading out to Charlotte in North Carolina. We then have this United Boeing 737-800. This aircraft is of course going to be heading out to Denver in Colorado. We then have this Alaska Boeing 737-900 heading out to Alaska's only routes from Baltimore, which is of course Seattle in Washington. And then moving on to Spirit, so we have an entirely Neo section here at Spirit today. So starting off here, we have this Spirit Airbus A320neo. This aircraft has arrived in from Houston, Texas, and it's going to be heading out to Los Angeles in California. We then here have another Spirit Airbus A320neo. This aircraft has arrived in from Boston in Massachusetts, and it's going to be heading out to Atlanta in Georgia. And then last but not least here for Spirit, we have this Spirit Airbus A321neo. This aircraft has arrived in from Fort Lauderdale in Florida, and is going to be heading out to Orlando in Florida. Over here at the cargo section, we have this FedEx Boeing 767-300. This aircraft is going to be heading out to Memphis in Tennessee. So my model airport of Baltimore Thurgood isn't exactly the same size as the real Baltimore airport. However, I think proportionally for airlines, we're doing pretty well. So Southwest are the leading airline at Baltimore by far. They operate 70% of the flights at Baltimore. So I've given them 5 gates here at Baltimore. They can use 6 gates. One is an international gate that can either be used for Southwest or an international carrier. So it can be 5 or 6 gates. We then have 3 gates for Spirit, 2 gates for Delta, a gate for United, a gate for American, and then we have a miscellaneous gate. So that can be used for Alaska, Frontier, or Allegiant. We will be getting that Allegiant 737 MAX 8-200 into my collection soon, so I can use that when we get it. But when it comes to international carriers, I wanted to go over some of the international airlines. A lot of them we have, but there are a few that we don't have, or different types of aircraft that we don't have. And of course now here at my new Baltimore, I have 2 wide-body international gates that we can use. So British Airways are by far the largest international airline here at Baltimore. They of course operate daily service all year round on currently the 787-8 mainly. They started operations here all the way back in 1993, originally funnily enough to London Gatwick instead of Heathrow, on of course the 767. Today of course they are flying the 787 but to London Heathrow. We do get a change of aircraft every now and again. We sometimes get the -9 or the -10, and we also get the 222 and very occasionally the 333, and that is of course daily all year round. They're the only wide body airline we get all year round. And we do of course also get Condor. Condor operate their A330-900s summer seasonally into Baltimore. They started operations back in 2012 here at Baltimore on of course the 767. However, now they've retired their 767s and replaced them with the A330-900. Condor's new color scheme has different liveries in different colors. Gemini Jets released the green livery on their A330. However, there is also the beige and the blue livery. Condor also have a red and yellow livery on their A320 family and 757 family of aircraft. However, we don't have a red or or yellow A330. So we only have those three colors on the A330s: green, blue, and beige. So I would like to see a release of a blue and beige A330 because I think that would be really cool to see in some Baltimore updates in the future. We then have Icelandair. Icelandair started service here at Baltimore all the way back in 1990, and they've essentially come and gone through the years, but they operate now into Baltimore on board their 737 MAX aircraft, alongside another Icelandic airline, Play. Play operates their A321 and A320 Neo aircraft into Baltimore. Copa are a fairly new international airline as well. They are currently operating, I believe, the 737 MAX into Baltimore, which is really cool. So we will definitely get one of them into a Baltimore update in the future. Bermude Air are a fairly new airline into Baltimore as well. Unfortunately, I don't think we will ever get a release of a Bermude Air aircraft. They're a relatively new airline with only 2 aircraft in their fleet, both Embraer E175s. Funnily enough, ex-Flybe E175s as well, which is pretty cool. But they operate an all business class layout between Baltimore and Bermuda. And then, as I mentioned at the start of today's video, next year, May 1st, 2025, we will be getting Air Canada Express back here at Baltimore. But of course, Air Canada Express from Toronto, they have pre-clearance there, US Customs pre-clearance, so they park with the domestic traffic and they don't need an international gate. So yeah, it's no Washington Dulles, we only have a handful of international airlines, but they're all pretty cool, I think. So with that being said, here we have the international aircraft for today's updates. We have this British Airways Boeing 787-8. This aircraft is going to be heading out to London Heathrow. We then have this Icelandair Boeing 737 MAX 9. This aircraft is going to be heading out to Keflavik in Iceland. And then moving on to Southwest, here we have this Southwest Airlines Boeing 737-800. This aircraft has arrived in from Islip in New York, and it's going to be heading out to West Palm Beach in Florida. We then have this Southwest Airlines Boeing 737-700. This one has arrived in from Charleston in South Carolina, and it's going to be heading out to Jackson in Missouri. We then have another Southwest Airlines Boeing 737-700. This one has arrived in from Salt Lake City in Utah, and it's going to be heading out to Chicago Midway in Illinois. Then here we have this Southwest Airlines Boeing 737-800 in the New Mexico 1 color scheme. This one has arrived in from Providence in Rhode Island and is going to be heading out to Sarasota in Florida. And then last but not least, for today's updates, we have the Southwest Airlines Boeing 737 MAX 8. This one has arrived in from Buffalo in New York and is going to be heading out to Montego Bay in Jamaica. And so with that being said, I hope you enjoyed today's update and I will see you in the next one. Bye.